Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. I am Craig with Reviews.org. I'm here every week on Fridays to do a little live stream so we can have some live Q&A. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy being here. I know there are a few of you here already. Susan was counting down the minutes till this started until she got to 20 minutes away and then gave up and ran away, I assume. I assume Susan's gone because she gave up counting down, but hopefully she comes back. So today's topic is going to be IPTV services. If you're wondering what is an IPTV service, don't worry, we'll get there. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody to go into the description. I think it's below you on YouTube, above you on Facebook. Click on the link to the Reviews.org giveaways page. Speaking of which, I think I just got a message about who won last week's giveaway. So I'm going to pull out. So sorry, as I'm pulling this up, I am in a hotel room again. 2 weeks ago, I was in Seattle. This week, I'm in Atlanta. So I'm away from my regular setup, which is why I look angelically backlit by the hotel window. Fantastic. Okay, so the winner of last week's giveaway, which was the Blink outdoor camera, not bad. Last week's winner was Joshua Sparkman. Joshua Sparkman, watch for that email. I hope you're here, Joshua. Oh boy, that was loud. I hope you're here, but if you're not, don't worry. You'll still get an email, and hopefully you watch this later or join us later. And this week, if you go to reviews.org/giveaways, we're doing a WiseCam 2 indoor camera. So we've done a couple of outdoor cameras. We're doing an indoor camera giveaway. These are great for making sure that your cat is still napping on the couch. Spoiler alert, your cat is still napping on the couch. But yeah, go make sure you check out those giveaway pages. Bookmark that page. We're there every week with a new updated thing. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so hello to everybody who's already here. George, Shoaib, Richie, let's see. Yeah, all of you. Jaden is here already. Jaden's asked a couple of questions. Favorite 90s show, Boy Meets World, Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince, or Friends? Got to be Friends. You know, I know every word of every episode of that show, so yeah, it's got to be Friends. And let's see, do you think Starlink could compete with Comcast, AT&T? We've got so many videos on Starlink with so many more coming as more things develop. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Juan does a great job of keeping track of internet issues, including Starlink and what's going on with them. So please, by all means, make sure you hey, like and subscribe and watch for those videos. Or you can go see the ones that we've already done if you just go onto our channel page and search Starlink. Okay, now with all that said, let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is near and dear to my heart because this is something that we get on our channel a lot. So let me pull up a piece here. This is by Jared Newman over at Tech Hive. It says, when the cost of cord cutting sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Well, what is that about? He gets into this thing called IPTV services. If you've never heard of this, it's Internet Protocol Television, and they're these cheap streaming services that pop up. And I have generally avoided talking much about them on the channel, even though I get a bunch of comments. Hey, what about this IPTV service? What about that one? Hey, I only pay $10 a month and I can get every channel of, every service ever. Why don't you talk about that? People need to know about this. Well, there are reasons. And Jared lays out a bunch of reasons in this piece. But instead of reading the entire thing word for word here on the stream, I thought it would be a better idea to bring Jared on to the live stream. So I would like for you all to say hello, to welcome Jared Newman onto the stream. So Jared, hello and welcome.
Hey, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's not me who should be thanked. So Jared, you are basically you're like my spirit animal. What the written version of what I do on YouTube. I'm kidding, but you and I are often very well aligned as I'm reading through your pieces. You're saying a lot of the things that I either think myself or say on the YouTube channel. So I've really appreciated your stuff. And I do want to tell everybody, Jared, before we dive into this, that if they go to this piece, and I will link to that in the comments. Here we go. go into the comments there, and there's a link to this piece. If you go all the way down to the bottom, eventually, after you get past all the ads, go down to the bottom of the piece right here. It says, sign up for Jared's Cord Cutter Weekly newsletter. As far as I'm concerned, if you like my stuff, if you enjoy what we do on this channel, then you absolutely 100% should do this. Jared, your newsletter is fantastic.
That's really nice of you. It's actually turns 5 years old next week.
Does it really?
Yeah.
5 years you've been doing that. We started, let's see, I did a review of, I think it was DirecTV was my first YouTube video in June of 2016. So that's been 5 years ago. And then it was like November that year that we did our first review of a streaming service. It was DirecTV Now.
Yeah.
It's so.
It's a long time to be doing anything on the internet.
Well, especially with cord cutting, this is something that, I mean, people who watch this know the reason you and I are able to keep doing weekly content constantly. Oh, it's because everything's changing in this space all the time.
Right.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so Jared, let's talk about IPTV services. Maybe you can help us out. Like I said earlier, it stands for Internet Protocol Television. What does that even mean?
Well, so I guess by way of disclaimer, like the term IPTV is just technically it just should refer to like television delivered over the internet, you know. Right. So it's not inherently bad, but it's kind of taken on this second meaning to describe this category of streaming services that are pretty much flagrant examples of piracy. So I don't know how that name kind of got ascribed to that, but I've noticed that people refer to it by that term. And yeah, I think my understanding is in a lot of cases, these sources will get their video from kind of like rip the video from like a satellite feed or something like that. So they maybe have a satellite box and they're ripping the video off and then they're streaming it to people who are paying, you know, some of them are paid. I guess some of them are free, but some of them are paid and they're like way cheaper than YouTube TV or Hulu with live TV. They tend to hover around this $20 a month price point. And it's not something I, really dabble in myself. I try to stay away from that. But this column came about because so many people like you were just asking me about it. Right. A lot of times in a way that like was like they were having problems with it. And so then it became like, all right, well, is this really, the magic solution that people make it out to be?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I'm glad you're here. You're backup, your ammunition for me. So this was probably, I don't know, a year ago or so. Some of our longtime viewers might remember I did I did a video where I finally threw up my hands. I had gotten enough comments and enough people, all capsing me on YouTube saying, you got to talk about these things. And so I did a video that kind of laid out why I don't really talk about them and what the issues are. Most of what you wrote in this piece was similar to what I said, but the first thing that you wrote about, I didn't even get into. And that's like, because like in my mind, I was like, I don't even mess with them enough to get here. But tell me about some of the things you lay out. So right here it says their apps are uniformly terrible. In your mind, what makes a good app and why are these ones bad? Yeah,
well, first of all, maybe I'll back up a little bit. To me, it's like I don't want to be a scold. Like I don't want to sit here and be like piracy, like how dare you? Whatever. People are gonna do what they do, and I'm not gonna like try to be on my high horse about it. But like there's other downsides. So I kind of like made it like, okay, we all know it's illegal. Start from that assumption. We know that it's like, you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're going to do it, like you should know that like these are some things that are not so great about it, aside from the legal or moral implications of it. And so one of the things, like, I mean, if you look at this screenshot that we're looking at right now, like I would not describe that as like a slick and polished live it's just kind of like this like overlaid weird text. And you can go, if you go to the channel list, it's just sort of this like unwieldy list of channels, and there's DVR or anything. And so, yeah, I was reading this comment here. Oh, so criminals aren't good at UX. Yes, that's true. Like they're not really.
That's not
they're not dumping like hundreds of man hours into designing a beautiful interface that's probably going to get shut down in a few months anyway. So yeah, starting from that, it's just kind of like, all right, no, at least if you decide you're going to pay the whole $65 a month for YouTube TV or what have you, like you are going to get a more polished, better experience than what these things provide, if you could set aside just like the differences in content, what have you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the scold thing. Like I don't want to encourage illegal behavior, but it's the kind of illegal behavior that it's like, well, who's really enforcing this? Who's going to get, so it's, is it that big a deal? I'm not sure, but the practical issues around it are one of the things that drive me to say, like, don't even bother. And you kind of hinted around that just a moment ago when you said, yeah, they'll probably be gone in a few months. And like, maybe it's just my age. If I was a college student or something and, had infinite time to give to this sort of thing, maybe I'd feel differently. But right now, I'm like, I don't want to have to find a new TV provider in 3 months when this stream gets shut down. Because that's the thing is, I went around and I looked for some of the services that were big a year or 2 years ago, these IPTV services. They're all gone, every last one of them. And now there's a new crop of them, and there will be a new crop next year, where it's like, once I sign up for Hulu with live TV, I'm done. I'm in. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I had that same experience. So I started going through my email and just searching for like IPTV or whatever, and like finding all my old reader emails where people had asked me about specific services. So they'd be like, oh, have you heard of this one service? It's only $20 a month and it has all this stuff. And then I would look them up and it was the same thing. Like the websites would be gone or whatever. And so, yeah. I think you make an interesting point. Like, when you're 18 or 20, a few months is like forever, but now it's like 38 now. It's kind of like, all right, I don't want to be switching every 3 months.
Exactly.
I have other things to do with my time, and yeah.
And now I want to go on a giant tangent about getting older, because this morning I got another notification from my Google Photos. They send me like, oh, see what you did on this day 5 years ago. It was like, oh yeah, same thing.
I got one 16 years ago on a trip I went with my high school friends this morning on my display. I was like, great, cool, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for who knew that Google was in the business of reminding me of my own mortality. So somebody asked, John, Mochi, can you guys talk about the Sling TV new UI? Let's stick with this topic for now, but if I remember it, maybe we can touch on it a little bit.
Sure.
But let's stick with it's a good question. Let's stick with this. So their apps are uniformly terrible. They rely, and this is kind of a similar related issue, but it is a little bit different. Reliability can be an issue. So when you're talking about reliability in this, if I remember right, they could be gone tomorrow. So reliability in the actual stream itself.
Right, like in that moment to moment. Yeah, I will say, like, one of the services I tested, like, the stream came up immediately. It was like 60 frames per second, and I was like, wow, I did not expect that. But then I tried this other one, and it's sort of like you're looking at this thing where you can see the screenshot here, and it's like, for Loki, and it's like, well, here's 10 sources, and see if any of them work for you. It's like, that's not really a great experience. And just drawing again on like the emails I'd receive where people would be like, I did all my speed tests. I had this other article was like troubleshooting your streaming issues. And people would be like, all these other apps work. I'm getting high speeds on my TV. Like I have a good router. Everything's good. But this like IPTV service, from Russia is not reliable. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's the problem right there.
Right. And and we've talked about how and maybe a little bit why they could be gone tomorrow. These are, as you said, the streams are flagrantly illegal, at least the way many of these operate, Mm-hmm. And so they're constantly getting shut down. And the same groups probably just rename it and pop up another stream somewhere else, right? So they could be gone tomorrow. But this next one, so you mentioned, hey, it's maybe it's coming out of Russia. There's a lot of headlines coming out of Russian malware these days, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Russia's not the only source of it, but
yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to call out.
You keep just leading me right through the piece, and so I can't help but grab onto the that piece. So malware. This is, in my mind, the biggest reason that I don't do it. Okay, fine. Hunting down news streams might be number one. They're tied, I guess. But the malware thing, where it's my understanding is that a lot of these streams really exist to get you to connect to them. Right? It's about getting you to connect to them so that they can. So that they can download or upload their malware, or maybe get you to click on one of these links like you've got here on the screenshot.
Yeah.
Just some way to get malware to you. This is a delivery system as much as it is a TV service.
Right. I mean, I can't necessarily say that they're all trying to do that, or I don't know what their motivations are. But like this screenshot that we're looking at, it's not a dramatization. Like that actually happened to me. I was just like looking up a service that somebody had asked me about over email previously. I was like, well, let me see if that one's still around. And I found the URL, and it just took me to this. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, now there's like I don't know if it actually infected me with anything or not. I don't think it did. I think this is one of those scareware things where if you don't know what you're doing, you might, and I decent number of my readers are like not super tech savvy and are getting into stuff that, you start going down this path. It can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And so it's just something I want to put out there to people that, aren't on the tech savvy side of things.
No, absolutely. Before we move on, I just love this one. Igor asked us, "Are you guys millionaires?" Well,
no.
Sorry, I love that question. If I were, then I'd be even more careful about malware. Malware is it's a thing. Like you said, it's not like every service out there is out to get you, but many of them are. And so we're getting a lot of comments from people who say, hey, I use this to let's see, who was it? George says, I have to admit, I occasionally use illegal streams to avoid blackouts and watch stuff I can't get on legal IPTV. And like we were talking about earlier, Jared, you don't want to be a scold. And to a certain extent, it's like, if you know what you're doing, if you're tech savvy enough to avoid the malware issues and to find a good stream, it's hard for me to be like, how dare you? But it is an issue.
You do what you feel like you got to do, and that's it. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. And that's the thing is like, look, the other reason that this piece came about is just because like a lot of this stuff is getting more expensive. Like it's harder to watch regional sports now than it used to be.
Crazy.
Now you need an AT&T TV, and it's $85 a month. Where you used to be able to like subscribe to Sling TV for $25 a month and get that, package that had regional sports in it. So it's like, what do you expect? Like people are going to start seeking this stuff out. So that was part of the motivation, is like sensing that there's going to be more interest in it.
I've been saying this on various videos throughout the last few months, or maybe even the last couple of years. But I used to say news and sports were the last vestiges of live TV. Like when they go, live TV as we knew it, it's not like it's going to die. I mean, we still have AM radio. It's not like it's going to die, but it will effectively die as a cultural issue. And now, like, news is gone. News, you do not have to have live TV to get live news. You can get on YouTube and get live streams from ABC News or CNN or whoever. So news is done. But sports remains. And I think that is, like you said, that's a big, major issue for people, whether it's regional sports or just, hey, I need to get my ESPN feed and I don't want to pay $65 to YouTube TV to get it. And so, yeah, I'm going to find another way to do it. And so it's understandable in that way.
It's created this point of friction, because it used to be that there was like more value in the TV bundle than there is now. And now like all of the shows that you want to watch have just moved over to Netflix and Disney Plus and everything. And yeah, there's still the cable news channels that people insist on having, but there are a lot of other ways to get the news, like you said. And so then it ends up really becoming like this one channel. And then it becomes a lot more tempting to be like, well, maybe I will pirate it because it's just one. Why am I going to pay for this bundle now that I'm not getting any value from it whatsoever, except for this one thing that I need? So yeah, my attitude is, I'm not going to scold you, but I'm not going to like help you do it either. Like, you're kind of on your own. You're on your own. Here's what I have to say about it, and you do you from then on. Yeah, no, totally. So I assume you've seen the recent news that ESPN, or Disney, I guess, the Disney Corporation signed extensions or new deals for ESPN and their sports programming for the next decade. Yeah. And they've locked into place many of the existing things. Now, they did say that, we're leaving a lot more room for streaming options for sporting events, but nobody has said what that means in practice. Right. And when I read that, they extended their deals with these networks, I just went, oh, geez. Yeah, they have the option to simulcast things, but they're not going to do that until people defect from pay TV and there's no money left in it. And so, right, exactly. So you're kind of asking people to do more of this piracy stuff, because now you say football or whatever on ESPN, they're going to have one game that's on ESPN Plus, and they're going to have like two games that are on ESPN, and then a few on ABC. And so it's kind of like they're trying to spread you out across all these different services, and they're making it so that people are going to get frustrated and try to find options that are maybe less legitimate, we'll say. No, it's perfectly fair. Like, gosh, I don't want to keep coming back to it too much. We keep talking about not being scolds, but yeah, it is less legitimate, and it is possible, though unlikely. I mean, you say in your piece, if we can scroll down a little bit more, there is a slight legal risk to it. It is very unlikely that you would be affected by the legality of what's happening. It's much more likely that whoever is actually sending the stream out would be affected by it. Right. However, let's see. We did get a comment from DQHPMP. I don't know what that means, but sure. What happens if you get hit with a cease and desist? That actually happened to me by trying an IPTV service. There is this possibility. So just to address this for a moment, a cease and desist letter is not, Comcast or Disney or the U.S. government or whoever coming to you and saying, we're suing you. A cease and desist is just saying, you should knock this off because we see what's happening and we could come sue you. So, yeah, exactly. So, as you say here, there is a slight legal risk. It's not probably financially worth anybody's time to come to you, Joe Smith from Ohio, and sue you for damages, because the damages is probably $300. But there is that possibility that at the very least you get a cease and desist letter, maybe something more, right? Yeah, right. And you'll recall that several years ago there was the whole 6 strikes thing. I think that kind of fell by the wayside. But even then, it was kind of like this was the program where the movie industry would say to Comcast or whoever, hey, we found a bunch of IP addresses that were downloading movies illegally or sharing movies illegally, and you should tell them to stop. And so then they'd send you a nastygram that said like, hey, we see that like your internet address is downloading movies and you should stop, and we're going to send you escalating warnings telling you to stop. But then it turned out like they weren't really going to do anything. It was just kind of like trying to scare people into stopping. Right. But it can vary by country too. I think in other countries there can be more of a risk of getting disconnected. So just putting it out there, it's just something to be aware of. Right.
Well, good. And yeah, the last thing that you mentioned is the hardware. And this kind of goes to what we were talking about before, where the services may disappear tomorrow. And so it's one thing if you pay them $20 a month to do the stream, but sometimes they're selling you a device that's $100, $200, and it comes loaded up with all these IPTV services. And then the box is worthless 3 months later because everything disappeared, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because like there's a little anecdote in there. If you go down a little bit, like it was it really sounds like it's from like an anti-piracy PSA or something, but it really is true. I got an email from somebody who was like, she really said, I wish I had contacted you before I spent $300 each on 2 of these boxes because now they don't work. And it's like, okay, you know, like people need to be aware of what they're getting into. It really is like people are saying like, I bought this box at a flea market and now I don't think it works anymore. And it's not something you want to really get into. I really think you're taking a big risk when you put money down on hardware. And if you don't know what you're doing and you can't find another source to plug in there, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So ultimately, like the final word, I think, and we can echo something that we said at the very beginning. By the way, I'm linking to this piece again in the comments. I'll do it one more time before we finish up, but people can go check this out. But what we were saying before was, you know, it's not that nobody can find benefit in this, and there are reasons that you've laid out why you know, going for the illicit IPTV server or stream is, you know, maybe worth it. But in general, and I focus, I think much like you do in your newsletter, I focus on this channel on making sure that we have advice and reviews and whatnot that speak to somebody who isn't necessarily super technically savvy, right? And so I don't want to encourage people to go out and do something that it could be expensive. It could have malware attached to it. You know, it comes with certain risks involved. And it's like, you know what, to a certain extent, like you get what you pay for. Again, to a certain extent. And yeah, if $50 for a combined Sling TV package is okay for you, then you're going to get a great service for live TV, right? Yeah. Or $65 for Hulu, or $65 for whatever.
Yeah. Plus, I don't want to cover these services because like they're not necessarily going to be around tomorrow. Like, you know, I don't want to cover things that are illegal because it just feels wrong, and I don't want to like review them and write about them in depth, and they may disappear anyway. So it's like I'm not going to spend my time putting resources into that. I'd rather like focus on the stuff that is above board and has a lot of people that are using it and all that. Yeah. Well, good. What I want to do is open up the floor for some comments. I'll go through a few comments and questions, and we'll open it up for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. If anybody has anything they want to shoot our way, and we'll talk about that for just a few minutes. But as we're waiting for that, I will just say again, Jared, I love your column. I want people to click on the link that I just put in there. Go to the bottom of that page. I'm going to show them one more time. The bottom of that piece, you could put in my newsletter link if you have it handy. Now we're talking. That's what I'm going to do. I wonder if I can put it in there. There we go. So yeah, you just pop in there and sign up for the newsletter. So yeah, you can read at Tech Hive, or you can get it in your inbox. I get it. What is it? Every Friday, right? Every Friday. Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, if you want to stay up to date on the cord cutting issues, then Jared is your guy. Thanks. He's my guy at least. So all right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and close that for a moment. Okay. Here's an interesting question. I like this. John, that's a great question. Why doesn't Amazon lock their Android TV, the Fire TV OS, to make it harder to sideload apps? Because that's what a lot of these things are. It's like you couldn't do it on a Roku because Roku doesn't allow you to sideload the same way. So you got to get the Fire Stick, and then you can sideload apps. For those unfamiliar with sideloading, that's basically just means you're using a third-party app
to bring in software that is not available on the native app store. So you can't find it searching on your Fire TV, but you can get this file downloader, get this thing from the internet, put it on there, and suddenly you've got an app on your Fire Stick that you couldn't get elsewhere, right? And so that's how a lot of these services would operate, is through these. So why doesn't Amazon just lock the app down, or lock the app store, the OS down? What do you think? Do you have an answer for this?
I wish I had an answer for that. I mean, part of me wonders if there's a technical reason. Like, I can't remember ever seeing an Android device that like blocked sideloading. That's just part of Android. I guess theoretically they could, like, you know, design it not to. But then I wonder, like, are they to some extent okay with it? Like, how many people are buying Fire TV sticks because they know it's easy to do this? And I don't know how well that works out for them in terms of business. Is the hardware profitable? I don't know. But part of me has always wondered, like, what percentage of, because Amazon always talks about how many Fire TV devices they sell, like what percentage of those are being used for Kodi or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great point. When I talk about Fire TV devices, the great thing about them, the really wonderful thing about them, is that when my parents cut the cord and they had a Fire Stick in every room at that point, I was able to go say, okay, so here's how you use the Fire TV. And I could teach my parents how to do it. It was simple, easy to understand. And then you go to somebody who's like, I want to game on my streaming stick. I want to sideload stuff. I want to do this. And it's like, yeah, here's how you do it. It's capable of both. That's definitely one of the drawbacks of the Roku. The Roku has the one thing. It's super simple. It's easy to use. You can give it to your grandparents and they can figure it out. But if somebody is a power user, the Roku is going to be, shall we say, underwhelming. So yeah, I think you're probably right. That was kind of what I was going to say, is that they want to play both sides of that.
Yeah. Plus, like, I mean, just talking through it, like, it's probably not even worth it. You know, they'd have to, like, design something into their fork of Android to specifically not allow that to happen. And at that point, it's like, why, you know, if there is some benefit to, like, the fact that people know they can do it, why even bother? You know, it's resources that you have to spend on something that ultimately doesn't move the needle for them one way or another.
Right. Yeah. We'll take a couple more. Let's see. Ashadar asks, I hope I said that right. Thoughts on accessing live channels from other regions, gaining access to all NFL games from UK NFL Game Pass, so I don't know about UK NFL Game Pass. I'm not up to speed on that, but it's probably a similar issue to the out-of-market streaming services that I just talked about. Was that in this week's? I think that was this week's video. It was a cord cutting 101, how to watch live sports, and we talked about out-of-market streaming services like MLB TV. That's the one I use a lot because I'm a big Mariners fan at all times.
Oh, wow, you just had that.
Yeah, ready to go.
All right.
So I'm a big Mariners fan, and it's fine for me because I live in Salt Lake City, and I can watch them out of market. But what about a Seattle fan that wants to use it? So basically what it comes down to is the MLB and the Mariners organization, they've got a deal going with their regional sports provider. And so if you want to get around that, I mean, yeah, you can use a VPN, you can use one of these IPTV services to do that. Doing that is against the terms of use, of the service. And so you are skirting the issue whichever way you want to go around it. And ultimately, we're talking about nickels and dimes here, but yeah, you're financially hurting the deal that has been made for the organization that you want to support, and how much are you supporting them? And, I don't know, may not be that.
I mean, there's probably like a parallel story to be done that maybe I should put in my idea file of, like, what you need to know about VPN, because it's sort of like you open this other set of issues, like you have to pay for one unless you want to have slow speeds and limited data, and you got to load it onto your device somehow, and some devices won't let you do that, and you might get blocked from, pay for a VPN, and then that provider is blocked by MLB TV or what have you anyway. And so there's this whole other set of concerns that you're bringing into it, similar to the IPTV issue, I would say.
Yeah. And this is a good one. In all honesty, just find a good group of friends and password swap like forever. You know what? Might be onto something, Daniel. So one of the things I like, actually, I'm going to put that back up for just a second. One of the things I love about password sharing is that the industry has gone through these cycles of like really caring and then really not caring, and then they're sending the what did you call them, nasty grams?
Yeah,
just sending everybody nasty grams. Hey, we see you. Stop sharing your password. And then they just don't care. And we're definitely right now, I think we're in a period where the industry has figured, it's happening. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll put some limits on simultaneous streams, but ultimately it's a kind of a free for all.
Yeah, it's a whole other fascinating issue. I've always maintained that they don't care as much as they say they do, because they want, it some extent helps with retention and reduces churn, and there's these stream limits anyway. And I just, if it's an ad supported service, like, they benefit from having more people watch it anyway. And so I don't know. I've always, you see these stories about a crackdown on password sharing come out every year or two, and then it never actually happens, because in practice they don't want to make it onerous on the people that are actually paying for the service. I just wrote a story. It's not out yet, but there's a service that just launched that actually lets people sell access to their subscriptions. Like,
really?
It's like a marketplace for password sharing. And I was like, there's no way that people are going to be happy with this. I don't know. Who knows? Like, it may not really move the needle that much. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jared, let's go ahead and call it there. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this week's stream. This has been really fun. I want to make sure, let's see, we're going to post that one more time. Go sign up for Jared's newsletter. I'm serious. I don't know what people think. I'm doing this because I freaking love your newsletter. And we've had you once on the channel before. Obviously you know your stuff, and it's really great to be able to pick your brain about it. And so if people enjoy what we do on Reviews.org talking about streaming issues, then they're going to love your newsletter. So I'm doing this because I'm your John the Baptist. Okay. I'm evangelizing for you.
I appreciate that. And I like what you're doing here, and it's fun to come on and talk to somebody who's, super knowledgeable about the whole thing.
Well, thank you. And I will remind everybody one more time to go on to reviews.org/giveaways. Before we leave for today, make sure you do that. Let's see, this week we are giving away a Wisecam 2 indoor. And last week's giveaway, yep, I got it right here. Oh, okay. I think we got a new winner because something might have happened with the other one. So the winner for last week's is now Mark Pugh. So sometimes something happens, maybe I don't know, maybe they don't have a mailing address we can send something to. Whatever the issue is. Mark Pugh, I hope you're on the stream. If you're not, I hope you watch it later. Either way, you'll receive an email. That's how this works, guys. Go to reviews.org/giveaways. Super easy to enter the giveaways. We review a bunch of stuff. We would love for you to have it after we're done with it. And so all you need to do is do some really simple entries and then watch your email, and we'll send you a message as soon as we can. So thank you again, everybody. And thank you, Jared. And I will see you all next Friday at the same time right here. See you then.